Hey there. Welcome to the first update of the new year, 2022. It's January, a couple weeks into the new year, and I've been lucky enough to contract the coronavirus. You probably can't hear it on my voice, but it's been a rough couple of days, but I think the worst is over now. But I'm still isolated with my girlfriend. And what better way to start making animations and start production of the first episode of the sci-fi thing. I still don't have a name for it. I was thinking Space Quest. That's a name that's been floating around in many forms of stories and narratives, and has ended up with this that I'm working on now. So maybe I'll keep it for this. I have animated and recorded something for the first episode already, and I must say I really need to get back into the whole Garage Mod animation thing. It has also been like 5 years or something, if not more. Time flies, and we'll see how it turns out. So yeah, the production has begun. So I'll update you on the way as usual, and then we'll see how we're gonna put out the episodes once I'm done with some of them. Let's head into the questions. The first question is from SnakeTech 1922. Thanks for the kind words, by the way. Have I ever had any concept story ideas like during the start of Machinimas or the progress of making a new one? Like had a story to do but couldn't do it because the story was too boring or something? Well, I wouldn't say stories, but I've been really inspired by some of the maps that's been floating around on the workshop, where it's almost like it's been calling for me to create something because it had a cool atmosphere or ambience, or if it was just a cool map, with cool locations and all that. I think in regards to Garage Mod, that's the foundation. That's where it begins for me. It's with a cool map, because personally I can't create maps. I would love to know how, but I simply can't. It's too complicated. So it always starts with a map. So I've had ideas, like there was a steampunk map, for example, and a floating city map, and there was a map where with a lighthouse and a cliff out in the sea, and it was really cool, and I thought about doing something with that. And of course, apocalypse stories. There was a lot of cool apocalypse locations and wastelands and all that. So I've had plenty of ideas, but it just became too much in the end, and I had to focus on the one project. And here's a question from BestGamer3. Are the soundtracks for the Machinima that you are making going to relate to the Half-Life vibe, or do you have your own type of how it's going to sound? Is there gonna be a release of it as like an album or playlist of some kind, like I did with the Dark Days? I suppose you're referring to the Renegade series I wanted to make. And yeah, I did think about going into the Half-Life vibe, but then again, that would be quite the undertaking, I suppose, if that's the right word for it. It would be my own thing. I have built myself a decent home studio here, and I got a lot of acoustic instruments, as well as an electric guitar and an electric keyboard, and a lot of sounds in the bank. So I would definitely make something the best of both worlds, I guess. Something that's entirely me, but also something that's inspired or based heavily on the Half-Life music that we all know. It would be kind of a mix, I guess. It depends on what the story is, and I'm still not quite sure about that. For now, I would just like to focus on the sci-fi thing. I am also going to make something for that, and I will release it as an album or playlist like I did with the Dark Days, and maybe even put it on Spotify if I feel like it's good enough for that. And here's a question from Dilly D22P. Have you tried or wanted to try to branch out to other creators on YouTube for help on your new project? Well, I have thought about it, and I've quickly stopped thinking about it right after. I suppose I don't really know how to comprehend the process of that if it's going to be anything other than voice lines. And Sam's Fishing Channel has 2 questions for me. Do you have any advice for people who want to make Gmod videos? Yeah, don't. You still go by the name Sander. You seem to have new people, which is good, but don't know about your old channel. Is that a question? I don't know if I have new people here. I mean, I expect everyone here to know me from my old channel. Otherwise, it blows my mind. Welcome, if that's the case. And yeah, there's not much to say about my old channel. I miss it. I miss some of the content that I'll never see again. Thanks, YouTube. But yeah, that's just the way it is. I don't think there's any reason to talk about it anymore. And here's a question from Zeno. Could I at some point, or have I ever thought of making a record of the songs that I or other people can play on their record players? You're basically asking me about merch. I would love nothing more than to put out a record of soundtracks. Oh man, that's a dream coming true right there. But that depends on a few things. For one, making a physical record for a record player. That's really expensive. And I'd need to have a much larger audience for that to make sense for me to do. I'd love to make merch at some point, but I don't really know about the copyright and all that. I mean, I am using assets from Half-Life and Valve and other games as well that I can merge into Garry's Mod. We'll see in the future once I've put out real content again. And we have 2 questions from The Problem Child. Is Sander supposed to be your first channel? My first channel was called Sander Dargai, which was a silly name. Sander is basically just half of my real name. My real name is Alexander, but all my friends call me Sander. And did something happen to your channel, or did you just leave? YouTube decided to terminate the channel, and I never got a real reason for it. There really was no reason for it, to be honest. But it happens to a lot of small channels on this platform, unfortunately. YouTube has evolved into a massive piece of shit. I guess that's the reason. Oh, there's one question more here. What main are you in Team Fortress 2? I suppose my main is medic. Medic or engineer. It's probably one of those 2. Alright, I suppose that was all of it. I hope. So nothing much to say now, but fuck coronavirus, and I'll see you all next month. And I hope to soon be able to show you some real content here. I'm looking forward to finish the first episode. And let's see what's going to happen. Alright. Have a good one, guys.